Hi, welcome to Vacation Bible School. Today I'm going to help you with the Tuesday craft. If you'll grab your craft bag, you're going to be looking for a bag that looks like this and it has a Tuesday label on it. It should have everything that you need for today's craft, and you'll also need to talk to your parents about whether or not you'll be able to use the permanent markers. If you can't, there's another option which will look as equally amazing. Okay? So I'm going to get started by showing you again that there is an instruction page with a verse connection. And today, as you're working through your project, I want you to think about, how is the cross a beautiful gift? How is the cross a beautiful gift? So as you're listening to the lessons today and the Bible stories and the songs and doing your craft, think about, how is the cross a beautiful gift? So that's what we're going to be working on. I'm going to start with the first craft option, which is the fastest one to explain. And that way, if you can't do it, it won't be a long wait till you see how to do the one that you are allowed to do. The two different crafts look like this. This is the stained glass one with permanent marker. You do need to ask permission first, and you need to make sure you have some paper or something underneath where you're going to be working so that it doesn't bleed through for any reason onto any of the surfaces at your house. This one is made with tissue paper and contact paper and also one of the clear films, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So we're going to start with this one. As you're working, you want to make sure that you find this paper and your clear plain paper. Okay, I didn't trace them on everybody's because that will be easy for you to do. You're going to take this and lay it over the top, and you're going to trace. Now I'm going to show you on my first example that it was easier for me to start on this side because of which hand I normally write with. So I normally write with this hand, and it was easier to do these so I wasn't dragging my hand across and smudging the lines, because that is possible to smudge even the permanent marker. So you're going to want to start and you're going to outline and follow the lines. As I was working on mine, I noticed that it was a little bit easier to do the curved lines as one continuous line instead of picking up and putting down and picking up. It's up to you how it works best. Okay. When you finish, you should end up with an outline that looks like this. Another option would be if you wanted to get rid of this outline that looks kind of like a frame. You could leave those two lines off and then just draw this grass line and this grass line and the horizon line all the way out to the edge. And then you could look at this line and draw where it would normally go, and then all the way across, and that would fill up the whole piece instead of just this little spot right here. That's up to you. I've done it both ways and both look really cool. Okay, so that's how far you're going to get. One of the things that I noticed when I was doing this one is that if I drew with my colors over the top of my outline, I smudged the outline really badly. So when you get through tracing it, if you'll flip it over to the other side and color on the side that you didn't draw the outline on, you'll still be able to see the outline, but your permanent marker colors won't smear the outline itself. Just a suggestion, okay? So that is if you can use the permanent markers. And again, as you're working, you're going to think, how's the cross a beautiful thing? All right. If you are not using permanent markers, or if you've already done the permanent marker one and you want to try the tissue paper one because you have in your bag everything you need for both crafts, you're going to take out the rest of the materials from your bag, and you should have a baggie of tissue paper with a bunch of different colors, and you should have two more, or you should have a piece of clear plastic that's left, okay? So what you're gonna do with this is, with the clear plastic, you're gonna want to lay this piece down on a piece of paper or something, and you're gonna use the bottle of glue that was in your family bag. And we're gonna pretend like this is similar to the popsicle stick craft yesterday, and we want to cover the whole entire piece of plastic with glue. And my glue is being a little bit stubborn, coming out. Now, you're not going to actually go all the way to the edge if you're cutting out the cross. But if you want to just do a full sheet of the tissue paper, you could do that. This is spread out like you're really going to put a lot of glue down. Most of your bottles of glue, I think, have that flat edge. I would actually spread it out as flat as you can get it. And I'm just taking the bottle of glue and kind of rubbing it over the top of the glue so that I have as much of the surface covered by glue as possible. As you're working, if you notice that the glue is kind of drying out before you can get to it, then you can take and put more glue on. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to open up my bag of tissue paper, and I'm going to just show you real quick what we're going to do. Okay, so I've got the glued side up, and I'm just going to place my tissue paper, and as you do this, your fingers will get really glued up, and that's fine. And you can sprinkle it. You can be real super careful about how you place it. It's okay if it gets a little wrinkled, but you want to cover as much of the space as you want. You have a selection of colors to choose from in your bag, so you can be specific about what color scheme you want, or you can just use everything in there that will fit. That's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you this part. You're just covering that up. Okay, what I noticed with mine is that I really need to cover up all of the empty spaces, especially if I'm going to be cutting it out, because when it dries, it's actually going to do something really interesting, and it will probably be able to be pulled off of the clear plastic. And when it pulls off of the clear plastic, you get a really nice shiny color, which is kind of neat to see. Okay, so any space that you see open, you're going to want to go ahead and put a piece of the glue on. Sometimes those pieces, because of how they got cut, kind of stick a couple together, and you can move those around. This part, if you have a popsicle stick, it would probably help to kind of smooth those pieces down. If you notice that you have edges that are sticking up, you can always put extra glue on top. That's not going to hurt anything. So let's say I'm looking at mine and I'm thinking, oh, it's not really sticking very well. Put some more glue, and then you can use your popsicle stick, or you could smear it with your finger. The dye on the tissue paper will come off. If you look here, I don't know if you can see it. I've got some green that's kind of smearing in weird ways, but I'm just kind of spreading it out, kind of like you're putting butter on a pancake or something like that, okay? So I've got my colors, and I'm going to let that dry. As I let it dry, I'm going to find a safe place to put my glued up stick. As I let that dry, what you will notice is that the bottom side that's touching the plastic doesn't necessarily look like it's drying at the same rate. So with ours, once the top was dry enough, I actually took it outside and laid a rock on two edges that didn't have a lot of glue, or that the glue was dry on, and let it dry out in the sun. That helped. When it's completely dry, you're going to want to take your piece of contact paper, and you're going to peel that backing off, probably with a parent's help, and you're going to lay that on top of the not plastic side. Okay, so one side will have plastic and the other side will have the contact paper, and the tissue paper will be in between. The reason that you're going to do that is because, like I said, as mine dried, I noticed that it kind of peeled up off of this plastic piece, and that's not going to be any good if I just leave it like that. So the contact paper kind of helps preserve your design the way that you would like it to be. Now, this one is the one that I did, and the glued side that came off of the plastic, you see how that's a little bit shiny? That is the side that was touching the plastic paper. And when I pulled it off and I let it finish drying, it dried to a really nice shiny side. The contact paper side, is not quite as shiny. It's kind of a dull feel, and that's okay. It doesn't make any difference. You can choose whether you want the shiny side to be on your side of the window, or if you want the kind of plainer side to be on your side so that the shiny side's on the outside. It doesn't really matter. It also doesn't matter if the plastic piece comes off by itself or not. If it stays on, that's wonderful. But just know it's okay if it ends up peeling off. You're going to cut a tiny little spot out of the top. If you have hole punchers, you could use a hole punch to punch a hole here. On mine, I just kind of folded it a little bit and then cut out a little notch. And that fit fine on the hook that I have that has the metal hook. If you did not get a metal hook on yours, you're going to have to cut that notch a little bit bigger, but it fit pretty good right there. Okay. So again, as you're working on this, you're going to be thinking about, why is the cross a beautiful thing? And then every time you see the your sun catcher, I hope that you'll think about and thank God for the beautiful cross. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Vacation Bible School time, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.